If you are thinking about starting your own service business, then you're going to run into the same problem that a lot of us run into, which is that at least some of your clients try to suck your energy, they try to suck your time, they try to suck your resources. If this is your first time here, welcome to the Security Bros. I'm Ken, and this is my brother James. What's going on?
Well, you said it.
Sure did. Hey, I'm just spitting facts at you, but James is going to give you the solutions. So
I don't know if I
give
got
him a chance.
Okay. You're going to have customers that are going to come and, like you said, they're going to try to suck on parts of your business. You're going to have customers that come your way that are going to be a drain on your business. And initially, you're not really going to have a choice. You're just going to have to deal with whatever you have to deal with. We've talked about this in other episodes where when you're first starting out, you take whatever you can get. Anything that is going to pay, you got to take it. You don't really have the luxury to pick and choose. But at some point, you start to earn that luxury and you're going to, it's going to be very apparent, these customers, they're, the high maintenance customer. These are the people usually with a little bit lower of a budget, and they're kind of easy to spot early on in the sales process because they can't really they ask for discounts pretty quickly. They need a lot of hand holding. They can't really make up their mind on stuff. Any challenge during the process is like a really big deal. They're very cost conscious. Just like everything is just kind of like a trudge. And then they want to like micromanage everything. So it's just a really big deal, the whole process.
Some customers have more time than money. They use that time to try to get better, like make their money go farther. They try to get as much use out of every dollar as possible, which is why they ask for the discounts and why they try to micromanage and why they always try to get like you'll send your texts to the customer's location to do an installation, and then they show up and they'll try to get your technicians to do a little extra work. Hey, while you're here, can you also just like drop a cable over there or
just install a few cameras on that side of the building?
Or can you just like fix a few of these other, we have a dead camera. Can you also check that out while you're here for the same price? Don't charge me more.
Think of it this way. Let's scale it all the way down to like something really small. It's like, what's a good comparison here that like everybody can kind of grasp? So if you go and get like $1 cheeseburger, for most people, the $1 cheeseburger is pretty affordable. If there's something a little weird with it, you're like, whatever, it's $1 cheeseburger. If you're the same person that maybe, can afford that $1 cheeseburger, you go spend $500 on a cheeseburger. Every little piece of that burger, you're going to scrutinize if there's anything wrong with it, going to be a really big deal. If there's a delay in getting it, if it's slightly cold, it's all going to be a really big deal. But if you're like a billionaire and you buy a $500 cheeseburger, it's going to be like most of the rest of us buying a $1 cheeseburger.
You only have so many years to live.
Right.
So the billionaire wants to maximize their enjoyment of that. Some people, they still have limited time, but they still have more time than money. And it changes the way that they operate. When I first started the company, I had some corporate clients that had money, but I also had clients that had very little money to work with. Their lack of success then kept me down.
They don't have as much money to spend, but they also are the customers that take a lot more effort from the entire company to, deliver whatever service you're offering. So then you spend a lot more time creating the quotes, you spend a lot more time trying to plan or finding alternative parts for them or, whatever the case. So it slows everything in the business down.
The way that I sell it's a little different than the way a lot of other salespeople in our industry sell. The way that I sell is I'm not selling specs. So you have these things called specifications. So every piece of equipment usually has a spec sheet or a data sheet, the lens of the camera, the pixels, the various interfaces, the power requirements, all that. I don't lead with those things. We use 8 megapixel cameras, but I don't tell people that we're going to use an 8 megapixel camera, not unless they ask. What I sell
at all. It's not, I don't think anywhere on any of our sales, anything.
No, because we choose to use it, but if for some reason we thought that a 4 megapixel would be better, maybe just like what you can get for the price and the quality, and we're looking out for the client. And so I don't sell specs, I sell outcomes. I know that sounds like, he's being all fancy, but it is true. When I focus on selling what the outcome that the client is looking for. The client doesn't really care about getting 5 cameras. The client cares about seeing their lobby. They want to see their parking lot. They want to see the corridor. They want to see the elevator, whatever they want to see certain things. And if it takes 5 cameras, then that's what they have to buy. It's not about the 5 cameras or about the specs or any of the actual parts. It's about their ability to see certain things, maybe see them remotely. It's about the ability to see who broke into cars in the parking lot. That's what I'm selling. If we give them a price for this and they pay it and we provide this system and it actually doesn't do what I said it would do, then we have to make that right. Move a camera around or whatever it takes, because I sold an outcome versus like specific parts, which is the same thing on the quote. I don't just list all the parts that we're providing, which I know some salespeople do. They'll list all the parts and the client is selling for the parts and the installation of those parts. So if those things don't do what the client was hoping, then it's not on the company that installed it, because they signed for those parts to be installed. I'm not giving people like parts and saying sign and approve these parts. I'm saying approve that you want to see the parking lot, and sign that you want to see, certain things, or sign that you want to enter your front door with a key fob, or that you want residents to be able to access the gym using a code. People with money, that's good enough for them. They're like, great, yeah, just whatever you got to do to make that happen. People that don't have the money and the customers that plan to suck your resources and time and energy, they're the ones that come back and say, can you give me all the spec and like the data sheets on all these like parts you're planning to use? And part of that is usually because they want to go get an apples to apples quote from somebody else and they want to try to compare, or they want to try to pretend like they actually know what they're looking at and they look at these data sheets. But the thing is that unless you're in this industry, you don't know what you're looking for on those data sheets. Like you're like looking at a bunch of specs, but like what does that even mean?
Yeah.
And even if you do know what you're looking for, we were just talking about this. If you look at some camera and it says 8 megapixel, and it has all these specs, the specs kind of don't matter. Like I use specs as a general, gets me roughly in the right way. But I don't trust a camera unless I've actually used it and we've installed it and we've seen how it looks when it's plugged in, and also how it functions over a period of time. If I haven't actually proved that, I don't trust it.
Not listing any of the parts you're going to use could be a sign of like trying to pull the wool over someone's eyes, or like hide something, or give a subpar product or whatever. In our case, that's of course not the case. We want to provide something that the customer is going to be very happy with and makes us look good, because installing crap stuff is going to make us look bad. So we don't do that. But if you looked at the rest of the industry, if you go to almost any security company, any quote I've ever seen always has, like you were talking about, the list of all the different, 4 megapixel camera with a 2.8 to 12 millimeter lens on it, and a recording server with 12 terabytes of storage and 16 gigabytes of RAM. Does the customer really care about that? No. I would tell you years ago that of course the customer is going to want to see all that information. I think it actually becomes, if I say actually one more time, you can slap me. It becomes more overwhelming to customers when you have all that information is not really what they need to make a decision on this thing. It would be like if you went and bought a car, and some people would care about this, right? So obviously they can get that. But if I go to buy a car, I don't want to know, like have a parts list of all the nuts and bolts and like little cotter pins and like, the hinge sizes and stuff. Like, I don't care. Like the door opens and closes. That's cool. It's bolted to the car. When I turn it on, it goes vroom and I drive. Right.
Know? Well, people that are afraid of making a decision, and maybe more afraid of making the wrong decision, they're desperately looking for something that will give them the warm and fuzzies. There's a guy
right.
that's how he used to put it, like the warm and fuzzies, where you don't feel anxious. And what I explain to people is that some people, and in fact a lot of people, they will, if they haven't gone through this process before, sometimes it's a very big purchase, they're putting this new system on their building, it can be thousands or tens of thousands of dollars. I'll say, look, you aren't the first one to go through this. A lot of the clients we work with, they have apprehension until the project is complete and it does everything that we discussed, and then they feel good.
Yeah.
Like, wow, and they're like, I'm like, so you're not feeling something unusual. A lot of people feel that, and when the project is complete, you won't feel that anymore. To give you an example, you mentioned you go to the car place and you don't want to see all the details of the car, you just want the car.
Yeah.
I went out the other day to our company has a cell phone plan. And so I went to the cell phone store and I said, I need another line. So I need a SIM card. I don't need a phone, I just need a SIM card and a line. Just sell me that. I had to wait around for hours, and they finally said, okay, Ken, we're gonna have some guy that's not here. He's gonna call you and get the SIM card or whatever. So at this point, it's in the afternoon, and I went out to get some lunch. He calls me, I don't answer, so then he texts me and says, Ken, give me a call like ASAP when you have a chance. Give him a call back. And he's like, I just wanna let you know, problem sorted out, your SIM card's on the way. And then he just starts going through all the details that he's had to go through to make this like SIM card happen. It's just all this time on the phone. Meanwhile, my food has gotten really cold. And so all this time on the phone with this guy related to like a SIM card. And I'm like, I just kind of wanted the SIM card. I'm fine with the price of the SIM card. More time spent with all the explanations doesn't help me out. And so I try to pass that same thing to our clients where I'm not trying to waste their time, razzle dazzle, spec sheets. It's like, what do you need? Here's the price for it. As I've mentioned before, some people have more money than they have time. And so they're looking to maximize their time. Those are the kind of clients we're looking for. Those are the ones we build our business around serving. And so I don't want to it's not really fair to them for me to waste a bunch of time with these other types of clients, which is why when we get one, it's like, I don't think we're a good fit. And once again, I don't want to make them feel bad about that. Yeah. But maybe you should look for people that are really want to make the sale and who are willing to work on price.
If every customer has to be a very customized experience and takes a lot of time and a lot of hand holding and going through all the processes and a lot of back and forth, that doesn't really work with the flow of the business that we've created. And then that ruins the experience for the rest of the customers, because now you're kind of getting out of sync over here while you're trying to service all these other customers that are expecting a certain level from your company. It can have compounding effects across the board. It's not just like that one particular customer.
Sometimes you straight up need to get customers that are hogging too much of your resources out.
Yeah. Because
you need that time and you need those resources to go after better stuff. We've done this many times, and it's one of those things where in the past I had a list.
You check it twice?
In the past, we just had too many, and too much of our business was occupied by those kind of customers, and we had to do this a little slower. Now that those are gone and the occasional one sneaks in, we have to figure out ways of getting them out or recognizing them early. One really great way of doing that is just by raising your prices. Quite frankly, that's maybe the easiest way to do it. Another way is a lot of those same types of clients tend to be really bad about paying their bills. One great way is then you can then put them on credit hold, which is what we'll do. And then when they need service, you are not available to service them because they haven't paid their bills.
Right.
And they may eventually just kind of move on to a different contractor. We had one where they don't pay their bill until the next time they need service. And then you say, we can't service you because you have an outstanding bill.
It was every time. Too.
Every time.
It became so predictable.
Then they
you would get a phone call and they'd be like, hey, we're trying to figure out how to pay this bill. And you're like, oh crap, what do they want? And literally within a few days, some service would show up.
I kind of feel like don't bother with the bill. Let's call that a parting gift. Don't pay that bill and never call us again. It's not always people that don't have money. I think of them in 3 levels. So you have level 1 is companies that, let's go vertical. So level 1 would be they don't have much money. Yeah, okay, we've all been there. Then they get to a place where they do have money. Okay, but they're very busy and their time is all sucked up. And so now they have a bunch of money, but they don't have a lot of time.
Okay.
And so they like a company like ours that doesn't bug them with all the details. I know these, our niche of clients, we know them good enough. I don't have to ask a million questions of them. Right. I can ask a few questions and I get the clue. And then you go to the next level, which would be corporate clients that have plenty of money, but are somehow still cheap. and they still take forever to pay, or if they pay at all, and they make you jump through all kinds of, like do a whole dance and jump through hoops to get your money. I just like making easy money. And when I say easy, it doesn't mean that like we don't work to do it. I just don't want to. I don't want to have to work to get the money. I want to do the work on the job itself. Like I want to make sure we do good work for our clients and we have good processes and good business. Like that, I like to work on. I don't want to dance around just to get the payment. Like that part should be simple.
It's like doing government work. There's like mountains of paperwork to do to get your money, instead of actually just like putting your efforts into actually doing the fucking job.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the money, like working really hard for the money itself seems really stupid. The same thing with the sales thing, where people will ask like, what would it cost to do this job? And I give them the price for that job. And then they want to haggle over the money thing. And it's like, I don't really want to haggle over money, man. It's just money. Like you have it. And if you want this thing enough, then you'll just pay me what it costs for the thing. But I don't want to play games with this like financial figure. We worked out the details. That's what I care about, is what does it take to give you what you want or what you need? And then I give you the price for it. A yes or no would be fine. Because if this is difficult for you to pay now, there's a subscription involved with everything we sell. There's also an hourly rate if you need on-site service. Like, so if this installation price is tough for you, I think all the other stuff is going to be difficult as well.
So it boils down to, if you are having high maintenance customers, the easiest way to get rid of them is to raise your price.
Yeah, and if you find that you can't raise your price without losing all of your customers, then you unfortunately have a lot of high maintenance customers.
Sorry to be the bearer of bad news there.
It took us a long time. You start out without the leverage, and eventually you find you do have the leverage. I've never ever turned somebody away and then later been like, that was a bad move. Like never. I've always been like, I should have done it sooner. And if you wish you had liked this video sooner, why don't you like it now so we know, and share it so your friends know.
Bye.
If you are thinking about starting your own service business, then you're gonna run into the same problem that a lot of us run into, which is that your clients, at least some of them.
Try again.
If you are thinking about starting your own service business, then you're gonna run into the same problem we all run into, which is that you're,
It's not even-
okay.
We're good. It's not funny.